Chosen one, your son is a prince. Nobility in his blood, might in his soul. A child of your lineage cannot be ordinary, for his destiny is destined great. He is heir to the light, heir to a future where even kings will kneel. The path he walks is not an ordinary path. This path is woven with victories, with a blessed destiny. Remember, a prince is crowned not only by birth, but also by upbringing. Now is the time to take action by writing 777 in the comments so that he discovers the power within him and realizes the power to change the world. You are the chosen one, and your son is walking towards the throne of destiny. The certainty of fate cannot be denied. Those who have walked this path before have witnessed the downfall of many who believed they could manipulate destiny without consequence. Every action carries weight, and every deception sets forces in motion beyond mortal understanding. They assumed their choices were hidden, mere whispers in the shadows, unnoticed and inconsequential. But there is no such thing as an unseen betrayal. The fabric of existence is woven with precision. Disturb one thread, and the entire design shifts. Those who act in deceit believe themselves untouchable, exempt from the balance that governs all things, yet they fail to see that when they interfere with a force beyond their comprehension, they are not merely opposing an individual, they are disrupting a plan far greater than their ambitions. There are paths that cannot be altered, destinies that cannot be stolen. The moment they decided to undermine what was set in motion by something greater than them, the inevitable was already at work. The unraveling is never immediate. At first, it seems as if nothing has changed. They continue as they always have, oblivious to the silent shift beneath their feet. But what once came easily now requires effort. What was once secure now trembles. They believed their actions carried no weight, that they could bend reality to their will without consequence. But no force can rewrite a path not meant for them. A carefully orchestrated scheme, a silent act of betrayal, a moment of selfish calculation. Each was a seed sown in infertile soil, destined to bear no fruit. They did not see the invisible lines they crossed, the sacred balance they disturbed. But existence itself does not forget. It is not revenge. It is not punishment. It is simply the inevitable response of an unshakable law. All things return to their source, and every action demands its rightful reckoning. There is always a moment of false triumph. They believe they have won, that their deception was flawless, that their actions have reshaped reality to their liking. They expect satisfaction, a sense of conquest, a certainty in their victory. But what they hold in their hands was never truly theirs, and the weight of that knowledge begins to settle in like an unseen fog, creeping through the cracks of their certainty. They grasp what they have taken, but it does not bring the fulfillment they envisioned. Something is missing, something intangible, yet undeniable. The energy they thought was theirs to command slips through their grasp, leaving behind nothing but a hollow presence. They may not understand it yet, but deep in the marrow of their being, they know what was meant for another can never be stolen. What was built on falsehood cannot stand. And though they do not see it now, the unraveling has already begun. The shift begins subtly, almost imperceptibly, a hollow feeling in moments that should be triumphant, a fleeting sense of accomplishment that evaporates before it can be grasped. They had expected to bask in the glow of their victory, to feel the weight of satisfaction settle in, but instead, an eerie emptiness lingers. What they took was never truly theirs, and the universe does not allow borrowed energy to nourish the soul. Rest no longer comes easily. Thoughts that once felt like fleeting distractions now return with relentless persistence. They replay the past, but the narrative no longer aligns. The one they tried to erase, diminish, or discard still stands, still thrives, untouched by their interference. A force greater than themselves is at play, and though they may not yet admit it, the unraveling has begun. The moment they disrupted what was divinely set in motion, they unknowingly stepped into the pull of a force that does not forget, does not overlook, and does not allow imbalances to remain. If you feel the abundance of divine love in your heart, now is the time to share it. You can help spread God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube and contributing $20 or more. This divine gift will touch not only your life, but the souls of many through this platform. Each of you has a sacred place in God's grand design, and your generosity will be the fruit of our prayers. Act now, share your blessings to glorify His kingdom, for you were created to do even greater things in God's loving hands. May God bless you. It starts as a series of small disjointed moments, an inexplicable miscalculation, a forgotten promise, an unexpected setback that throws plans into disarray. At first, they dismiss it as coincidence, an unfortunate streak of bad luck. But the pattern continues. Their once commanding presence feels diminished. The control they relied upon slips through their fingers. The effortless charm they once wielded no longer draws people in. Conversations grow strained, alliances weaken, and the unwavering support they once took for granted begins to wither away. They cannot name the cause, but deep within, they sense an unseen tide shifting against them. The air around them feels heavier, the path ahead clouded by obstacles that were never there before. They grasp for solutions, but the more they try to regain their footing, the faster the ground beneath them crumbles. The weight grows unbearable, yet they cannot explain why. Waking up no longer brings a sense of renewal, but a bone-deep exhaustion, as if the very essence of life is pressing down upon them. It is not punishment, not an act of vengeance. It is the inescapable force of balance reasserting itself. What was cast out into the unseen now returns, amplified, unavoidable. They believed themselves beyond consequence, yet the laws of existence remain indifferent to their illusions. No scheme, no manipulation, no desperate attempt at control can halt what has already been set in motion. What they sent forth has not disappeared. It merely bides its time, waiting for the inevitable moment of return. And for those ready to embrace something greater, the doors stand open. Imagine stepping into a space where wisdom flows freely, where connections spark transformation, where the unseen truths of this world are unveiled without restraint. A gathering of minds and souls seeking higher knowledge, a space where guidance is not just offered, but embodied in every interaction. A movement beyond empty words, beyond fleeting motivation. This is a calling, an initiation into deeper understanding, unfiltered and unrestrained. The next step is yours to take. The weight of their choices does not reveal itself in the light of day. It waits for nightfall. The world quiets, but their thoughts grow louder, their mind restless with echoes they cannot silence. They chase sleep like a mirage, believing exhaustion will force them into oblivion. But rest is no longer theirs to claim. Something stirs in the stillness, an unease they cannot place. The air thickens, the space around them feels smaller, and the comfort they once took for granted is now stripped away. A sound in the distance, a whisper, then a murmur, faint yet persistent. They dismiss it as the wind, as the workings of an overactive mind. But the noise does not fade. It lingers, growing stronger, weaving itself into the fabric of their nights. The shadows shift, and though no one is there, they are not alone. Their own mind turns against them, the same way they once twisted perception to their advantage. What they distorted for others is now unraveling within them. The world they wake to no longer feels like their own, and the stillness in the air is a weight they can't shake. It's as if they've stepped into a place where the tides no longer rise and fall at their command. The ebb and flow of life, once something they could predict and control, now seems unpredictable, out of reach. The days drag on, offering no comfort, only reflections of what they no longer have. They feel it in the smallest things. Those who once stood close are now distant, drifting like stars they can no longer touch. Their presence no longer commands the attention it once did. What was once effortless, conversations that could light up a room, interactions that made them feel alive, has become something else entirely. It's as if the air has thickened, and words once so powerful now fall flat. People, once eager to listen, now speak in tones that are shorter, colder. Invitations they once received with open arms have disappeared, slipping from their grasp like sand slipping through fingers. The sense of control they once had, the ability to guide, to influence, is slipping through their hands, and no matter how they try to hold on, it's as though the very essence of power has left them. They don't see it in anger. They don't see it in shouting matches or confrontations. It's much quieter than that. It's the absence of something that once filled the space. Silence speaks louder than words, and in this silence, they hear the unmistakable sound of loss. The words once spoken with ease now feel forced. The charm that once seemed to flow effortlessly now seems like an old trick, no longer effective. People pull back, not with a struggle or rebellion, but with a quiet kind of withdrawal, like leaves falling in the wind. No resistance, just a natural drift away. For the first time, they realize something they've feared for so long. Something beyond their control is now steering the ship. It's not them. The power they had to shape the story has dissolved into something they can't hold on to. They try to hold on to the strategies, the methods that worked so well before. But it's as though the very air has changed, and the rules they once followed no longer apply. It's as if they've been stripped bare, standing in a place where the truths they clung to are no longer enough. Like a tree whose roots once ran deep into the earth, but now stands bare, its leaves withered, its branches trembling in the wind. The world around them has shifted, and they're left standing, trying to understand where they belong in this new landscape. And in this moment, this stillness, they feel the weight of the truth. They are no longer the one shaping the story. They are no longer the one with the pen. The pen has been taken from their hand, and the story is now being written by something greater than themselves. Something has shifted, and the guiding hand they once thought they held so firmly is no longer there. They feel it in the way the world moves without them, in the way time keeps marching forward, indifferent to their efforts to stop it. Dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace be upon you today. I am here to remind you of a profound truth. Our existence is grounded in God's divine plan, unshaken by the temporal concerns of the world. As the Bible says, whatever is done in faith will return to God in abundant blessing. Luke 6:38. Like that great oak tree, our roots are deeply rooted in God's universal truth. Every step we take, every stand we take, is secured by His strength. And now, you are being offered the opportunity to be part of that blessing. When you use the Super Thank You button and donate $100, this movement will return to you 100-fold in abundance. In this moment of reflection, they begin to understand that the control they once had was never truly theirs. It was a gift, a fleeting moment given to them for a season. But now it has passed. The power they thought they held was always part of a larger plan, part of something beyond their understanding. They were chosen, yes, but not to hold the reins forever. They were chosen to learn, to grow, and to be part of something greater than themselves. But now, that season is over, and they must learn to walk in the quiet, in the humility of knowing they are not the one calling the shots anymore. But here's the truth. They've been chosen for this moment. Even in the silence, even in the withdrawal, there is something greater at work, something unseen, something spiritual, is shaping the story now. The very fact that they're still standing, still breathing, means the journey isn't over. It's just taken a turn. The work isn't finished. The story isn't done. There's still purpose, still a calling, but it's different now. It's not about control. It's about trust. It's about surrender. In the quiet, in the stillness, they are being called to something new, something deeper. They've been given the opportunity to learn what it means to truly walk by faith, to understand that they are part of a larger story, a grander plan. It's not theirs to control, but theirs to live, to experience, and to trust that even when they don't understand, they are being held by something greater than themselves, something that knows the way, even when they can't see it. In this new chapter, the struggle isn't about reclaiming what's been lost. It's about learning to stand in the quiet, to trust in the unfolding, to embrace the power of surrender. Because the truth is, the story was never just about them. They were always part of a bigger plan, a plan that continues even now, in the silence, in the stillness, in the quiet turning of time. And so, in this season, in this place of uncertainty, they are called to step forward, not with force, not with control, but with faith, with trust in the unseen, in the greater purpose that's pulling them forward. They are not forgotten. They are not abandoned. They are simply being guided to a new understanding, a deeper purpose. And in that purpose, there will be peace. The peace that comes not from holding on, but from letting go. The peace that comes not from control, but from surrender. The peace that comes from knowing that they are part of something much bigger than they could have ever imagined. And so, with each step, they will find their way, not by their own strength, but by the strength of the one who is guiding them, the one who always was and always will be. Life is a harvest. Every seed you plant, whether good or bad, eventually breaks through the soil. You may not see it at first. The ground looks the same. The sun shines, the rain falls, and everything seems steady. But then, one day, what's been buried beneath the surface starts pushing its way up. If you've planted love, faithfulness, and integrity, you'll see a harvest of favor and blessings. But if the seeds have been selfish ambition, deceit, and manipulation, you won't like what grows. No matter how hard you try to pull the weeds, the roots are already deep. You can't outrun the harvest of your own making. They attempt to rebuild, to reclaim what is slipping from their grasp. But every effort backfires. What once worked so well now turns against them. The same tricks that ensured their rise now become the very reason for their fall. Plans crumble, alliances dissolve, and doors that once stood wide open slam shut without warning. The professional gains they took for granted evaporate. The opportunities they counted on vanish like a mist in the morning sun. At first, they tell themselves it's just a rough patch, a temporary setback. They've always found a way before. They'll figure it out, they'll talk their way back in, maneuver, adjust, find another angle. But they are wrong. The pattern is too precise, the timing too exact. What they set in motion has returned, and there is no escaping it. You see, there are spiritual laws at work in this world, laws that cannot be broken, only obeyed. The law of sowing and reaping is not optional. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't take bribes. It simply delivers what was planted. And when the harvest comes, it doesn't whisper. It announces itself. They try to resist it. They push back, clawing, striving, desperate to hold on. But the harder they fight, the quicker it slips through their fingers. What once responded to their commands now turns against them. Where they used to find favor, they now find resistance. The very strategies that secured their position now expose them, revealing cracks in the foundation they thought was unshakable. This is how divine justice works. It doesn't always come swiftly, but it always comes surely. You may fool people, you may hide things for a while, but you can't fool God. You can't outrun your own choices. Eventually, what was done in the dark is brought into the light. They shake their heads, bewildered. Why is this happening? They ask. But deep down, they know. There's no need for explanations. They've seen this happen to others. Now, it's happening to them. The ground beneath them, once solid, now shifts. The people they relied on start to distance themselves. The influence they once wielded with ease slips away. They are left standing in the middle of a crumbling empire, watching as the walls they built so carefully collapse around them. And no matter how hard they try, they can't rebuild it. They can't go back to the way things were. It's over. The season has changed. The chapter has closed. This is not punishment. This is process. This is the hand of divine order, setting things right. And it's not personal. It's principle. When a farmer sows corn, he doesn't get apples. When he sows weeds, he doesn't get wheat. The soil doesn't care who he is, what title he holds, or how powerful he used to be. It only gives back what was put into it. Somewhere along the way, they forgot that. They believed they were untouchable, above the law of return. They thought they could manipulate outcomes, bend circumstances, control the future. But now, reality stares them in the face. The harvest cannot be stopped. No amount of pleading, no amount of effort, no amount of regret can turn back time. What was set in motion has reached full maturity. It's payday, and the balance must be settled. But here's the good news. This same law, this unchanging principle, is also the key to redemption. Because just as a bad harvest cannot be stopped, neither can a good one. Just as deceit, greed, and arrogance come back to haunt, so do kindness, faithfulness, and integrity come back to bless. The same force that works against them now could work for them if they would change what they plant. This is a wake-up call, not just for them, but for all of us. Because the truth is, every day, we are all planting something. With our words, with our actions, with our decisions, we are putting seeds into the soil of our future. And we will see the harvest. Some might say, but I've already messed up too much. I've sown too many bad seeds. Listen to me, our God is merciful. He is a God of restoration. The moment you turn, the moment you surrender, He starts working on your behalf. No, you can't erase the past. Some things will have to play out, but you can begin a new season. You can plant a different crop. You can choose, right now, to sow truth, instead of deception, faith instead of fear, generosity instead of greed. And in due time, that harvest will come. It may not happen overnight, but just as surely as the sun rises in the morning, a new harvest will break through the soil. Favor will return. Doors will open. What was lost can be restored, not because of manipulation, but because of divine favor. So if you find yourself in a season of loss, don't panic. Don't resist the process. Instead, ask yourself, what have I been planting? And if the answer troubles you, then don't despair. Change the seed, because in the end, life is not about what you lost, but about what you're planting next. And when the right seed is sown, in due time, the right harvest will come. And then the losses take a deeper turn. The sense of control they once had over their own stability, financial, emotional, even physical, erodes like sand slipping through fingers. At first, it's a minor inconvenience, a miscalculation here, a delay there. Then, one by one, the setbacks mount. Unexpected expenses drain their resources. Deals they depended on collapse at the last moment. Obligations pile up faster than they can manage. No matter how they scramble to adjust, to regain footing, the ground beneath them continues to give way. They believed they could take from others without consequence, never realizing that what was gained through deceit does not remain. They profited not just in wealth, but in trust, in opportunities, in stolen moments of another's journey. And now, the scales are balancing. Every deception, every manipulation, every step taken at another's expense is returning in full. The hands they once held open to receive now grasp at nothing. What they built was never truly theirs, and now, piece by piece, it is falling apart. Now is the time to share God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube. You can contribute to His plan and be a part of this divine mission with a donation of $100 or more. Every gift reflects God's generosity, and I believe it will return to you exponentially far beyond your expectations. Remember, His protection and blessing is on your every step and every donation. You become part of His divine plan. You are a strong, radiant being, unshakable as His mighty rock. Witness God's miracles, feel the fruits of your generosity in your soul, and illuminate the world with confidence and courage. Be blessed and let the light of the Lord guide your path. They were certain they could undo it, certain that with the right words, the right moves, they could reverse what had already been set in motion. But this is beyond their grasp now. No plea, no calculated attempt at redemption will alter the course of what has already begun. They spent so long testing the boundaries of fate, believing they could shape it to their will, never considering that it would one day close in on them. But now, the door has shut, permanently. The balance is being restored, not as a mere correction, but as a complete removal. And the most devastating consequence? It isn't the loss of position, reputation, or even the connections they once held. It is the loss of self. They are no longer who they were before they overstepped, before they reached too far, before they chose deception over truth. Their own essence has faded. Their drive has dulled. Their influence has scattered like dust in the wind. The realization grows stronger by the day. There is no escape from the weight of what they set in motion. What they once wielded is gone, slipping further out of reach, and there is no force that can bring it back. They believed they were dismantling someone else's path, never realizing they were constructing the foundation of their own undoing. Every whispered lie, every carefully placed obstacle, every moment they reveled in another's struggle was another stone laid in the road, leading to their own downfall. Yet, the truth remains. They were never the one with power. From the moment they chose to interfere, the outcome was already decided. There was no need for retaliation, no need for retribution. Fate itself took the reins. Now they stand in the ruins of their own making, surrounded by the very shadows they once cast upon others. And while they are bound to the weight of their choices, the one they sought to break stands untouched, rising beyond the destruction they intended to inflict. This is not coincidence. This is not chance. This is the immutable force of equilibrium reclaiming what was disturbed. The question is no longer if justice will be served. It is already unfolding. And for those who have witnessed it firsthand, the proof is undeniable. Have you seen it? Have you watched as the cycle completes itself? Share the truth below. Let it be known. Fate does not forget, and every debt is paid in full.